I was going to talk about being out in your professional life. We sort of touched on this, but we actually have a caller who wants to talk about that. So I figure maybe we bring in One-Eyed Heathen into this conversation, and we all sort of bat this idea around a little bit. Calling in from Georgia, pronouns are he, they, and wants to talk about, is it not important to be out at work or in your public life? We've been sort of touching on this, but
Mm-hmm.
One-Eyed Heathen, what is your hot take? Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Right.
My hot take is that in general, by and large, I don't think it is important to be out at work, not because I'm down on my own community, but because I've grown very cynical of late with regard to the political situation. Many states are at-will work states.
Yeah.
So even if it's technically written into law that you cannot discriminate against somebody for being LGBTQ, that doesn't mean that somebody else's mistakes won't get overlooked while your mistakes won't get overlooked, and you'll get written up for like minor things and maybe not even told, and oops, you lost your job because, yeah. So and the political climate being what it is, I would say not only consider your safety, but consider the safety of your family members, because it's kind of like, if you're in a small town, or at least in an environment where maybe you don't have a lot of job prospects, but you do have a job now, sure, you can still look for another job. However, you need to make sure that if you have children, you need to make sure they know it's okay to be LGBTQ. They can come to you. Or if you have nephews and nieces, especially if they're like living in very conservative households, they need to know that they are okay as they are. And if people start coming out at work, which, I think there are people who are in positions where they can do that, and that is excellent when they can.
Yeah.
However, I do think it's more important to think about your own safety. And if you're, say, in a small town or whatever, and you're out, and then, I'm sorry, are you talking? My bad.
We're just agreeing with you.
No, everybody's agreeing with you.
Yeah, we're just
now.
safety is the most important thing.
Keep going, please.
Oh, okay, good, because I'm not here to interrupt. Yeah, I just basically I'm arguing from a place of cynicism, and I don't know if I'm being over emotional and saying no, they want to kill us, or if I'm actually being prudent and saying I am hopefully, if all goes well, I am orchestrating to escape an abusive environment before the next presidential election. That's how serious this is.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of thing where, if I was I was out at my last job because I present as masculine, and that's kind of how I've decided to present. And so for me, I've kind of made my decision anyway. But I think in the past, if I would have started transitioning later, I probably wouldn't be out. And I'm laughing at it, but it's actually really, really tragic, because you want to consider when you're coming out, who you're coming out to, and what may happen to other people. Because I've heard stories about, say, somebody coming out as an atheist in a small town, and their kids get harangued because the parents come out as atheists or something like that.
Yeah.
It is one of those things that we're dealing with in this culture that, and I'm not going to get into politics or anything, because politics aside, coming out is a very big decision, and you have to decide not only in your professional life, but in your personal life, who is safe to come out to, and if you're going to be accepted or not, and if it's okay for you to come out. Those of us that present cis, het, we kind of have a little bit of an advantage because we can choose to come out or not, but people that are transitioning to feel completely healthy and to be psychologically okay and like to live my authentic self are going to have to deal with a lot more backlash. Those are people that are open and in a same-sex relationship are going to and want to be out about it and are going to be honest about it, are going to receive some kind of backlash. And dealing with those things is really hard to navigate. And I, as someone that can choose kind of how I want to present myself and what I and who I choose to reveal to and who I don't, I feel I there's a part of me that I cannot understand these issues that people have to navigate that will affect their livelihood, affects their relationships, if they're rejected by family or friends, are ostracized, maybe have violence perpetrated upon them. I cannot understand what that is. And for anyone to say that, like, oh, you should just be out because you should be an ally and you should be like a face for somebody. It's like, dude, it's like, I understand that in an ideal world, nobody should give a shit how other people live their lives as long as they're not hurting anyone. But we're not there yet. And people have to feel safe. They have to feel safe, and it is okay to come out. Because there's a chance that people are going to reject you. And that's
why
that's a shitty thing about what the discourse we're living in, is because people are just like, well, if you don't fall into the cis het normative, there's something wrong with your deviant or whatever, which is a bunch of fucking bullshit anyway. But okay. I hate bullshit. Sorry, bullshit makes me mad. So, because it's all fucking bullshit.
We're all at the bullshit here.
But that's why it's so important for people like Jason or I who can do to do. Like, if you can be out and you can be visible, then that's why it's so important for people like us to do it, so that one day it won't be a big thing. It'll be like, you know, telling someone you have green eyes. Like, like, oh, okay, get
absolutely
weird that you mentioned that,
and
but
I
okay.
appreciate that you're out.
Thank you.
I appreciate
but
that you're out. I agree that it's good to be out, and I agree that if somebody is in a position where they can be out, I think it's really great when they do come out. That said, this is the kind of thing where, you know, it's, how to put this? If somebody wants to say, well, we should be out, cool. So let's work on making the spaces where we can be out. Otherwise, it's a little bit like you should just go over to, you know, some random bar you've never entered, and then just suddenly spout all your political opinions up, down, and sideways, regardless of the possible consequences. You know, that would be a dumb idea.
Yeah.
Maybe
Jason,
not
did
a
you
good
want to weigh in
example,
on this before we?
Yeah, I've been taking this in. You know, it's the situation, like the guys I work with and the work that I do, you know, living in Texas and working oil and gas. You know, I do inspection work, so I'm driving all over the place, going back and forth between these different places, and you have a bunch of different inspectors, you know, working on the road, and we get bored and we want to talk, you know, so everybody's talking, and of course we're talking. We spend our lives on the road, so of course we've already listened to all the music, so everybody's either listening to lectures, politics, God knows what, you know. So it's interesting because, again, being in Texas and being, you know, much more conservative type of industry than I'm in, a lot of times, like, there'll be like 10 things that these guys say. I'm like, oh my God, oh my fucking God, oh my God. You know, and so like the other day, I remember there was like 10 things. I'm like, I picked one: corporal punishment. I'm like, okay, I can go with that today. I can deal with that today. Okay. The other day it was abortion. Okay. I can deal with that today. And the other day it was the fact that atheists have no moral foundation. I'm like, okay, I can do. And these are like in person with like people that, I mean, this is daily. This is, hey, Jason, I know you know about this stuff. Okay. What's this stuff, bro? Well, my daughter's dating this one dude. I go, yeah. So what's the problem? Well, he's 16. Oh yeah, your daughter's 15. How do you feel about that? Well, he used to be a girl. I'm like, so your daughter's dating somebody who just okay. I go, well, why? What's the problem? Well, I don't know how to deal with it. I go, well, how do you feel about some 16-year-old boy dating your 15-year-old daughter? What do you mean? I go, do you want some older boy driving your younger daughter around? No. I go, Well, then fucking get on that boy's ass and tell him to fuck off. Oh, it's just like,
right.
It's just we're just people doing people things. Like, what else is there to deal with? You know, I don't know. It's so it's interesting. So I have to see these dudes all the time.
I mean, I feel you.
Yeah. No,
I've been in that environment too, where if somebody, like, I've been outed before, and and I'm with kind of good old boy types, so I'm like, they're gonna laugh at me. I have to laugh at me too, and then laugh at them back, and then just laugh at the situation. Because if I don't, I know then if I don't, smile, nod, and laugh and make some quippy remarks and pretend that it doesn't matter when somebody wants to tell me I don't actually exist or shouldn't exist, because then it's kind of like, oh, well, we're gonna not talk to you, and you're gonna get passed up for any promotions, and you're gonna make it kind of difficult to work here.
No, fuck that. I remember there was this one guy, normally I keep my hair pretty short, but my partner's convinced me to grow it back out again. But I keep it pretty razor short. I look like your stereotypical truck driving white boy, boots, yada, yada. So this guy comes up to me at work, it's a while ago, and he starts saying this like racist shit. And I'm just like, what? Man, I got to go. Like, I'm the boss man over this job site. He thinks he needs to tell me about these things. I'm not interested in these things. Well, then he comes back over and says something about tattoos. I'm like, yeah, I own this tattoo shop in this area called Montrose, which is the gay friendly neighborhood here in town. That's where my girlfriend and I live. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, we used to go down there and we used to roll some slurs and to take all their money. And I look at this dude, I go, what the fuck? You're gonna start telling me that shit? I go, you do that shit around me, I'll break your fucking teeth out. I go, you don't fucking know me. For all you know, I go home and slap myself in the face with fucking dick, all day long. I go, you don't know me. You're coming at me and you're talking like, and then I went and filed a complaint with HR. So it's that's right. What Nate was saying. Like, I feel that onus. Like, we have. I'm not saying we have to. I'm just kind of fucking sick of it.
You're saying you'd really like us to when we can, right?
When you can.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if we can, and if you're able to, like, I'm saying I feel like I need to. And I feel like
absolutely. I get it.
Not you, not anybody else. I'm in a place to where I need to fucking do this. And right. It'll just make it easier for other people to do it. Because, well, Jason will not put up with this shit. Okay, well, that makes somebody else feel like, hey, Jason's got my back. No, I didn't know Jason was that way. I'm that way too. We're kind of in the same group. We're in the same boat. And it just you fucking, like, I don't know. I was a bouncer growing up. I bounced. I did security, and of course, I'm just your typical meathead. But of course, I did security, and of course, so I can protect myself. I can do those things. I'm a big, scary looking dude, and so cool. Shut the fuck up. Go away. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Fuck off. So I don't know. That's how I feel, at least, and I just think it's important that if I can do it, I should. No.
Right. So that's awesome. And I'm glad that you do it. And I appreciate that you do it.
Yeah.
But what happens for people who can't do it? We need to be clever.
You're right. You're completely right.
You know what I mean? We need to work under the surface and be clever. And when we come out, we need to come out not like it out and out in public, because there are people who you were in security because people do attack vulnerable people. Otherwise, you would not have had a job. People target vulnerable people. Yeah, and I'm laughing like, oh, ha, ha. But the reason I'm laughing is funny because everyone knows otherwise security wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're correct.
So it's like, so I think you and I are both right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a right or wrong to this. I just think it's what it's doing. It's highlighting the constant struggle that this is even a fucking problem. It sucks that people just can't just be, I don't understand it.
Right. I'm in the same boat. Like, why can't people just shut the fuck up and be mature and get on with life?
I know. It breaks my fucking heart. And I'm so sorry, like, for what you've gone through. And I've seen what my friend Natalie's gone through. And I've seen other friends of mine that have transitioned or were openly gay or queer in the 90s and what they went through. And I have nothing but the deepest respect. Sure. It blows my mind, that people are so fucking courageous and brave, so just, you inspire me.
Oh yeah. Like, Shit. Well, and I appreciate that. Like I
appreciate
grew
you.
up. I grew up all over the country, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So I grew up thinking that because, like, I didn't have the words for it, but I grew up thinking that because I'm queer, I was destined to be a prostitute. I was destined to be on drugs, and I was destined to get AIDS and die. And I thought that because I'm queer, I couldn't just live a happy, productive life. And this is, I mean, I don't want to give anyone the impression like, hey, you should not come out. I can't make that decision for anyone, but I want to remind the well-meaning people saying, come out, come out, come out. Well, you know, I've been financially abused. I've been emotionally abused. I've been threatened. Fortunately, I haven't had violence done to me because I am trans, but I have heard some stories from friends of mine who are trans, and just generally in the community who have. Well, one person I know, her father hunted her down and tried to murder her once she did escape her abusive household, and that was physically abusive. So, and it was because she was trans. So that, I mean, so this is why I'm saying people don't ever feel pressured to come out. I mean, be smart. Think through it, make your way, and when you come out to the people who are safe for you.
That's a solid perspective.
I agree with you. I do.
We do have one more call I want to get to, hopefully, before we go, but I'm going to give Helen the last word here.
Yeah. Everybody's journey is their own, and you don't get to tell another person how they're going to walk their journey and what is okay for them and what's not okay for them. All you can do is be a supportive voice for them and just say, like, I'm a safe place for you. That's what you want to be for other people. Be a safe place for them. And then when they get to a point where they can come out, or if they never come out, if they never feel comfortable, as long as you're a safe place for them, that's the person you want to be. And I think that's the most important thing, that people have to walk their journey and find their path on their own. And there is no right or wrong way to do this. That as long as they're getting the education and they feel supported, that is the most important thing, especially to us that are in the community. Like, we just want someone to say, like, it's okay. However you're choosing to live your life, it's okay. And the journey you go on is your choice. And I'm just here to support and love you for who you are. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's an awesome thought.
Absolutely. Well, One-Eyed Heathen, I want to thank you for adding to the conversation tonight.
Thank you.
And
I
completely
thanks
agree.
for taking my call.
Yeah, thank you for calling in, man. You take care.
Yeah, like I said, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.